Okay, recording this video Monday 9th December 2013. I really appreciate that no one emailed to say the last video was too long at 18 minutes on Head and Shoulders. I think it was too long, so thank you for being kind of polite and not telling me off. This one, let's try and make it quicker. I want to talk about Forex charts, global macro stuff. So I'm going to call this one global macro and just look at the Forex charts kind of quickly. This is the usual setup with daily and weekly charts side by side to look at the kind of the big picture. But I'm also including the commitment of traders numbers as well, just to give you a sense of I think what the professionals are doing, because I'm finding that kind of helpful at the moment. Anyway, here's the picture with Japanese yen. Japanese yen, we've been in this huge tear on the downside. As soon as we broke support on the weekly chart here at 125, bang. We've put in our pullback to end of trend, and we've also put in another cyclical turn after this. This one is about to kind of go off. We had a little Rambo pattern, and last week's activity was a blue professional down bar. Normally that kind of thing is very interesting in terms of trying to find a bottom, and it's down at this 97 level, which is kind of key beforehand. But on the daily chart, you can see here we've just recently kind of broken into this downtrend. This has still got to complete. This has got to go pull back to end of trend before everything's over on the downside. But it's getting interesting in terms of finding support. However, there's not going to be a change in trend. This is just somewhere where it's just going to rest for a while, because if you look at commitment of traders weekly and monthly charts here, and we can look at the divergence patterns and so on. Look at this. You know, the professionals are saying this is that they're not supporting this. We've seen no divergence patterns. Everything's kind of negative, kind of down here. So there's no support for a rally in Japanese yen. So we might slow down on the decline, but it's nowhere near kind of reversal time. Euro. Now the euro this week kind of broke to out of a resistance area, which is kind of interesting. A little bit similar to the British pound. So now we're above resistance on two time frames, on the weekly time frame and on the daily time frame. This blue professional bar breaking through resistance, that is jumping the creek, potentially moving into a trend move. Now at 138 we had this U-turn move. There was all kinds of Draghi announcements and blah blah blah. This was a big Draghi announcement that caused a shakeout, exhaustion volume, and we've rallied from there. We had another blue professional bar with bullish divergence, and we rallied straight on through there. This time the blue professional bar is pointing up, and we're kind of keeping going as that's breaking through resistance. 138 is going to be critical because that area was an area that we got rejected last time. So this is looking a little bit stronger, but commitment of traders is kind of neutral at the moment. We had some bullish patterns in the past which have kind of supported this rally in euro, but they've not turned totally bullish. By contrast, let me show you the pound, which is showing a lot stronger pattern. Now we had this nice kind of move through Thanksgiving, breaking into an uptrend. Been talking about the pound for weeks and weeks, saying it's going to break to new highs. We've had exhaustion patterns, blue professional bars, pro signal exit there. Temporarily, I think we're going to just be digesting this move, but we've got to see pullback to end of trends and exhaustion patterns on the weekly chart before this thing is over. And if you look at the commitment of traders, that is starting to turn bullish. So we've had some nice little, on the monthly chart here, nice little bullish divergence kind of down here at the lows. We had a little bearish divergence in here that led to a little bit of weakness, but not enough to stop this thing kind of going through. And that's a little bit more positive. If I just go quickly back to the euro chart on commitment of traders, it's kind of neutral there around the zero level. This is far more positive on the pound, kind of moving up. So that's why I've been kind of keen on the pound lately. Aussie dollar, we're in a downtrend on the Aussie dollar. Called this one short at 102 and one when we broke through 102 level and the parity level. All the blue professional bars kind of sold this thing down, and now the weekly resistance has come in. This got to play out, resistance to support, and we've seen no blue professional bars at the lows, none kind of down here. We've got exhaustion patterns, and this was falling through this kind of support area here, but they've not picked it up. We're in a downtrend because we're below support. We've got to put in pullback to end of trend. This thing has got a long way to travel before we start seeing good signs that this thing is coming to an end. So the Aussie is heading down, and there's nothing to suggest on commitment of traders got any professional support at all. You can see here the numbers kind of pretty weak, and there's no bullish divergence patterns going off there or anything like that. Canadian dollar kind of moves quite closely to the Aussie dollar. And we had a lot of blue professional bars kind of coming at the lows this week around 93 level. It's been an important level. Canadian tends to bounce off these blue professional bars a bit, so that's kind of come in. There's been a lot of selling here. We've got a cyclical kind of support kind of due. but this has still got to make pullback to end of trend. Let's wait and see, with these blue professional bars. They are coming in at the lows, so we might find a little bit of support on the Canadian dollar. But what are we doing in terms of commitment of traders? Weekly and monthly, it's all bad. There's a little bit of bullish divergence there, but there's nothing suggesting that this is going to kind of turn around anytime soon. So we might have a little bit of a kickback with the cyclical support kind of coming, but we still got to go complete pullback to end of trend. So Canadian dollar still in the downtrend. So now, what's the mix of all of that? So we've seen the yen. The only currencies that are strong at the moment is the pound and the euro. On the flip side, we've got the yen going down, we've got the Aussie going down, we've got the Canadian going down, and so on. The Swiss franc is tied these days to the euro, so you kind of count that on the way up. The dollar index is kind of the mix of all of that, heavily weighted towards the euro. So the dollar index has got some weakness at the moment, but don't forget there are some currencies like the the yen, the Aussie, and the Canadian that are down, kind of heading down as well. So the dollar index looks like it's heading down just because the bigger currencies, the euro, is kind of heading up. So a little bit mixed, kind of caught in a little bit of range. We've got a blue professional bar through support here. That potentially is falling through the ice. We put in our short covering rally, or kind of bust back up. Blue professional bars come in bearish divergence. We roll over. We got this cyclical turn to make. You can see better sine wave is just kind of wrapping up and heading down. So the cyclical energy on the weekly chart will start to head down as well. So I think the dollar index is going to be weak, mostly because the euro is going to be strong. So commitment of traders, is a bit positive on the dollar index. So I'm not sure. I think it's going to be trapped because we've got those two. We've got basically a bifurcation in the currencies, and I talked about this over the last few weeks. It's like they're splitting up into two groups. Usually it's risk on and risk off, but no, at the moment we've got the European currencies being quite strong, and we've got the emerging markets and the Japanese yen being very weak. So you got kind of split in terms of the Forex charts. So there we go. Hopefully that was helpful, and I'll put this up the site, and it should be a quick little video.